Want to know why? Ask how. Howard the Humongous. This week, Saudi Arabia's Akbaria TV sent me an email and asked if I could go on the air to discuss a new acquisition from Google. What had Google just acquired? It had acquired a company called DeepMind Technologies in London. A company put together by one of the best gamers in the world, a guy who had won the equivalent of the Olympics of video gaming 5 years in a row, who had mastered chess at the age of 4 and the age of 5, and who had taught himself computer programming when he was 6 or 7 years old. His name is Demis Hassabis. And Demis also, after developing a successful video game based on putting together your own sim-style amusement park and making presumably a small fortune, left the world of video gaming, went back to school, and learned neurobiology. And learned specifically, he did research, it was groundbreaking research, on how a person with amnesia has damage to a part of the brain called the hippocampus. Without your hippocampus, you have a hard time imagining future scenarios, a hard time future projecting, seeing visions of the future in your brain. And without the ability to imagine the future in your brain, you lose the ability to reconstruct the past in your brain. So you lose both your future and your past. Why is this significant? Demis Hassabis' company had 50 employees, but it hadn't put out a single commercial project. The only thing that it seems to have demonstrated is that it could put a computer to work on a game like a simple Atari Alien Invaders game, and the computer would teach itself how to play the game. And that is why Google bought DeepMind Technologies. Google, at the end of December of 2013, was on what some people called a robotics spending spree. The word was this: Andy Rubin, the guy who invented Android, the cell phone operating system that is now much more successful than its leading competitor when it was invented, Apple's iOS system. Andy Rubin actually came from the world of robots. He used to design industrial robots for Zeiss, the very high-tech lens company. And why did he call Android Android? What is an android? An android's a robot. Andy continued to be obsessed with robots. And they know something over at Google that most other companies don't know. Don't just put people to work on the drudgery we call work. Give them time to play, because in the time in which they are playing, they will invent the future. And Andy was given the freedom to run a robotics company within Google, but a robotics company with a grand vision. And by the end of December of 2013, the press all over the place was telling us that Andy Rubin had gone on a buying binge, and he had bought Google 6 robotics companies. There wasn't as much coverage for DeepMind Technologies and its acquisition, which took place in January and February of this year. What was Andy Rubin trying to achieve by buying a company that had only demonstrated that it could train or could allow a computer to learn on its own how to play a simple video game? Andy Rubin had bought all of the material necessary. Boston Robotics, one of his most incredible acquisitions. Look them up on Google or on YouTube. You'll see the most amazing videos in the world. The big challenge for the last 15 years has been how to create a robot that can stand on 2 legs. That's one of the most complex things in the world, and you and I do it every day. For robots, it came very hard, but now robots are mastering it. And Boston Dynamics robots could do more than stand on legs and balance. They could run around a parking lot carrying big knapsacks full of goods, the kind of stuff that soldiers would go crazy having to carry. They could reach the end of the parking lot, see that they were about to reach a fence, turn around and run back. They could run in circles around the parking lot. They had autonomous intelligence. That's one of the companies that Andy Rubin bought. Another company, Mecha, makes the cutest darn robots you have ever seen. They know how to do facial gestures. They know how to blink to make you feel good about them. They know how to tilt their head to make you feel good about them. They're on the way to the kind of robotic connection that we just saw in the movie Her, where the robot becomes your best friend. Andy had bought companies that will take a tool from your hand, hand it a screwdriver, it will grip the screwdriver but not too hard, push it, and it will bend. It won't stand there stiffly and robotically injuring you. It registers its surroundings. Some of the robots that Andy bought run around on little legs, on little wheels. Andy bought a high-tech wheel company for the robots on wheels. Andy had fingers, arms, legs, bodies, torsos, and even faces. What he was missing was a brain. And he bought DeepMind Technologies because DeepMind Technologies makes algorithms, makes rules for robots that allow robots to learn just the way a kitten or a newborn human begins to learn, by opening its eyes and grasping things, by crawling into space. That's what Andy has acquired. What is this all for? Well, there are several books out there now. There are at least two of them. One is from Chris Anderson, the editor of Wired magazine. The other is from two guys at MIT. And they're claiming that the next major American industrial revolution is right around the corner. That's an important word, American industrial revolution. Because right now, Foxconn in China, with its hundreds of thousands of workers, is manufacturing almost all of our cell phones, Samsung cell phones, Apple cell phones. They are the workshop. The Chinese are the workshop of the world. Can America ever become the workshop of the world again? Well, people like Chris Anderson are saying that you can come up with a great idea. If you've got a 3D printer, you can work on your software to build a vision of that clever idea of yours. You can get your 3D printer to manufacture at least a prototype of that great gadget of yours. You can work on perfecting it until you get it just right. Then you can hire a company, and there are companies like this that will help raise the venture capital. You can go on Kickstarter to raise the capital. You can go on Rocket Hub to raise the capital. You can go on Indiegogo to raise the capital. And you can get a company that will actually turn out the gizmo that you have just invented. Turn it out in quantity. And if that turning out can be done in American, it's fast, cheap, and as Kevin Kelly once said, out of control. Will this industrial revolution happen? Will inshoring happen, bringing not just outsourcing, sending manufacturing over to China, sending our phone services over to India? We're talking now about inshoring. We're talking about bringing all of these industries back. Is it going to happen automatically? No. The Chinese are going to give us a run for our money. In fact, the Chinese have just acquired a company in Greenville, South Carolina, that specializes, if you come up with a great idea, in finding you the money, in building the product, in shipping the product. There are only two things missing. We must be persistent, we must be visionary, we must dream our asses off, then we must persist hour after hour, day after day, the way the Koreans persist. They'll work 14-hour days happily, and sometimes they will work 7-day weeks, and they will do it happily. We have to outwork them, we have to outrun them, we have to outthink them, we have to, most of all, outdream them, but a dream without persistence is useless. A dream with utter committed persistence is a future, and we are about to have, if we grasp it hard enough, a whole new future. This is Howard the Humongous speaking to you from the future. It's your job and my job to make, or want to know why? Ask how. Now for the infamous off button. I found it.